So, we're here with Val, who is our first guest on this. Oh my god, I'm just gonna giggle a lot because this is the first time we're doing this. And so I'm really excited for this conversation to happen and for you to share your wisdom and your knowledge about being a leader.
Thank you.
Yeah, so do you want to start by just introducing yourself? Where are you a leader? How do you view yourself as a leader in your life? Maybe your more logistical roles as a leader, where you wear the name tag leader, and then we can get into other areas of your life where you lead as well.
I'd say that I'm a leader in the outdoors and also just in community. Like throughout the day, I can choose to be a leader.
And and what does that look like to you? What is your role in the community?
Well, I'd say in the outdoors, it's like holding the big picture and holding people accountable and supporting them in their growth and their goals and their development and challenging people that are comfortable and comforting people that are challenged.
Oh, beautiful. So, in the outdoors, that looks a lot different than in day-to-day. Can you compare and contrast the two? Like when you go out, let's just get a little bit of the groundwork. So I know you really well, but if you're watching this, maybe you don't know. You're a guide in the wilderness, and then also in community. So you have these kind of two hats that you wear: wilderness guide and then life coach, right?
Yeah, a life coach. Yep.
So how do those look similar and different?
They're similar in that I'm supporting people to be their best selves. Different in that in the outdoors we're on expeditions, and so the process of the expedition is also the leader. And in life coaching, the process is they are the leader and I'm the facilitator. And then I would say in day-to-day, it's like I can choose to be assertive and I can choose to be independent and I can choose to engage in conversations and be present with people and support them by listening and making them feel heard and understood, and then diving deeper with people. Coaching can happen, mentoring can happen just within interactions at the grocery store, or in the park or something. And I think that's leadership.
Oh, beautiful. But yeah, so that for me it definitely feels different than when you're out. That you have to take more of a direct action when you said assertiveness. Like, what does that mean to you to be assertive in an outdoor scene, and then also in your life?
To be assertive in the outdoors is to hold standards and to be very strong and grounded and confident in the delivery of the curriculum, decision making. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we'll talk about decision making in the course. So, what does that look like for you to make a decision?
It depends on the amount of time I have to make a decision, and the consequences of the decision that's made. And so sometimes it's very fast and directive, and it's this is a safety decision, and this is what we're doing. And then sometimes it's more collaborative, and it's well, what is everyone else feeling? What does everyone else want to do? What do you maybe delegating the decision for other people to make decisions. So it depends on how much time we have and what the consequences are.
Consequences are high. You're making a quick decision based on
safety usually.
Safety, which you build up a decision-making muscle, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you learn to assess the scene and know the outcome, right? So you've seen certain outcomes happen before. How is that different than when you're guiding someone else through maybe a decision-making process, like in life coaching?
Well, I can't make a decision for someone else. I can offer the tools, and then it's up to them to make the decision. And I can kind of guide and facilitate and just hold that bigger picture, and I can't make the decision for them. So ultimately, I could be like, this is what you can do, here's some tools, here's a direction that you can go to support you in what you're working on. And then ultimately, it's up to them to make that decision. So life coaching, there isn't usually a safety factor, whereas in the outdoors on expeditions, there is.
What if someone's taking their life in a terrible turn, though, and they're not being, in your opinion, from your point of view on their life, being safe? Like, you maybe this kind of gets to like holding space for the other person and guiding and mentoring versus leading. Does that make sense? So the question being, how do you within life coaching, like how do you hold space for someone else to like maybe make a decision that's not safe for them or take risks on their own? I guess you also do that in the outdoors too. You allow kids enough space to take risks, to learn a consequence.
Yeah, I think failure is important. If they're ready for it. I think if they're not ready for it, then it can be really detrimental. But if they're ready for that challenge, I think pushing them to that challenge, knowing that maybe they'll fail, is important, because that's how we learn. You know? And I'd say that if like someone's about to make a decision that's not going to be helpful to them, my role is to speak to their spark and guide them in the direction that is going to be helpful for them. And so if they're going that way, then it's like, okay, well, back up. Like, is this actually what you want? Why? Like, what are your belief systems here that are making that are guiding you to make this decision that's not good for you? And let's work on that.
Interesting. What are your belief systems that are guiding you to make that decision? So you work with people to define a belief system and the values. Would you put values in the same sort of category of where they're making a decision?
Yeah, I think values definitely play a part, yeah. And are you living in alignment with your values, or are you not? Because usually when you're making decisions that are in alignment with your values, it feels good. When you're making decisions that are out of alignment with your values, there's like something off, you know?
And you can maybe provide a mirror for people.
Definitely.
As they're doing that, as they're navigating through that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I love that. I love what you say, like speaking to their spark. What does that feel like? Or how do you do that?
Well, it's like, okay, well, say someone's suicidal, and they come to me and they're talking to me about that. That is the spark. The fact that they're talking to me is the spark. So, like, hearing them is speaking to the spark. Like, okay, I hear that this is what you're feeling. So the fact that like people are talking to me is the spark, and I can also see like the glimpses of hope or desire or motivation or inspiration, and so I'm speaking to that. I like see their power. I'm speaking to that.
And so you're speaking, but you're also listening quite a bit.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. How do you navigate those two? Coaching, telling, directing, and then also listening and observing.
It's all about timing. There's like so many tools, and if we apply the tools at the wrong time, they can be harmful. So it's like knowing when to listen and knowing when to interrupt even. And knowing when to like blurt something out, or when to reflect back, or when to ask a question. I think that's part of the listening process too, is like listening to like, what do they need right now? Are they getting like really caught up in their head and they're actually avoiding what they feel? So that's the time that I need to say, come back. What are you feeling?
Whoa.
Like you're making excuses. 20 years from now, if you keep making excuses, where are you going to be? And then there's some times where people just need to talk in process, and I'm just listening. I'd say it's all listening now. Yeah, it's all listening.
Even the talking is a form of listening.
Yeah.
If you're guiding them to a new place for where they need to go. Wow. And so, yeah, communication is really important. In the fields, what are some skills that you use to communicate as a leader?
Projection. So everyone can hear.
Okay.
Clear, concise. Tone for engagement. Sometimes it's reflecting tone. Sometimes it's using a tone that's reflective of the content. being direct, giving feedback, receiving feedback, so important in the field, so important for coaching. Empathetic listening is a foundation to communication.
And what is empathetic listening?
Empathetic listening is reflecting back to the person what you hear. And that can be context and emotional. So we reflect back context, we're showing that we hear them on a surface level. And we reflect back their feeling, we are showing them we hear them on a really deep level. And that's where the transformation happens. So empathetic listening is extremely important for people's self-development and growth.
Wow.
Because people just need to be heard,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, really heard.
And then you say that's almost the seed of the transformation. It's like, what does that transformation seem like before and after? And then you're in the middle, kind of like through the rapids of the change, right? Being there as the oars person. Right. So, because when you say guiding in the outdoors, you're doing a lot of river.
A lot of river, yeah. River and backpacking.
For weeks, like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
3 weeks or so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what is the transfer, like if you could describe the transformation, what's that like?
I think transformation it's small and it's big, and it can happen in an instant, and it can happen over hours, and it can happen over weeks, and it can happen over years. And so I think transformation is inevitable, it's always happening, and we have a conscious decision on how we want to transform. And sometimes, transformation is also unknown. Like, I can go into a coaching session with someone, and I'm like, I have no idea where this is going to go. And then with the tools of empathetic listening,